Then we have interactive languages. What do you mean by interactive? In C, C++, Java, all these famous languages in the world, right? Whenever you have to even add two numbers, you have to write a class or a function to do that, right? Then only you can execute it. But Python is not, it's just an interactive language, like you have shell programming. Shell, again, if you give two inputs, it will just spit out the output immediately. Similarly, you do it in Python as well. So what about structured programming? You can do structured programming and object-oriented programming both in Python, right? What happens in your Java? I mean, to write even a small program, you have to open up a class and then start a function, main function inside it, right? There's no such mandatory rules in Python. You can just start a file and quickly write your code and just execute it. That simple it is, right? It's dynamically typed language. There's no type of a variable in Python. I'll just tell you how that works, right? The main motivation behind writing a language like Python was its highly readability. Right? The creator wanted a language which should be highly readable. We'll just come to know how this language scores much more than other languages when it comes to readability. Right? You use Python in multiple things like your functional programming you can do your text and image processing. One of the most famous websites like YouTube, Quora, Instagram, Google search engine, they're all made using Python. I can show you the links maybe afterwards, right? You can get to know which all servers or which all web servers are running on Python, right? Which all things are powered by Python. Yeah. Then you can use it for data sciences, machine learning, natural language processing, your Google Translator, right? Converts any language to any other language. Do you think, I mean, it's pretty easy to write those kind of codes in C, C++? No, right? We know, right? How many errors it gives. I'll show you, even maybe in the first 2 to 3 weeks, you might even not get even a single error. That's how Python works. Use it for network programming, for cloud system and data center management. There's a project going on called OpenStack, if you know, which has a lot of tools inside it which are being built over the last 6 years, and one of the most famous companies associated with that. It is used for server provisioning and maintenance and everything, right, from A to Z. That entire tool, I mean, it's a, you can say, group of tools, maybe around 20 to 30 tools, they're entirely written in Python. You should go and search about these. These are the upcoming things. I mean, you might be knowing about OpenStack because you have some experience with AMD. Maybe you can search. Right? Let's quickly go and start with the demos, with the class, right? If you have installed Python, you would have a idle. Can you search for idle and start it up? Sure, idle. No, go to start menu. Yeah, go to now programs and just search for IDLE. We have not installed Python. The link is not sent you. He's using the command prompt. Is idle not there? It would be easier for you to write, right? Can you go to your all programs? Yeah, just search IDLE. Will it show anything? From where you install Python? The same thing? It should happen. There, right? All programs. Search for Python. The Python sequence, right? That's the case, maybe you can write the program in some file and go to that particular directory and run it. You can just say Python and the file name and it will run a program. Right? So that save it. Yeah, from CMD. Right. You can use a notepad for programming. Notepad or anything. For you it works, right? You have the Python idle. For you can. You have ID1, right? You have opened up. Cool. So just select 3 point. I mean, there should be Python and Python 3. Just select Python 3 over there. Right? There should be an option for languages.
No, it's just a program.
No? Can you show me up? So you have to change, right? Over here you have selected Java. Just go and yeah, one second. Yeah. You can write your program and there's a button called run. You can run it, it will show you the output. Correct? Okay. Now I have opened up a new file here. I will write anything and I'll go to run and say run module. Right? For you, Sarup, you can just go to here, file, new file, right? And save it with the extension .py. You can just give a name, maybe first.py. Right? You can also do the same thing. Also, you can just save it with the extension .py. Right? Okay. Let's quickly go on work. Now, to print anything on Python, what you'll say, print hello Python, right, within double quotes, correct? And when you go to run and say run module, it will show you the output on the Python shell, correct? Right? Just see here. So this is the Python interactive shell which opens up. You can also fire any command over here. Right? This is the Python interactive shell. If I'll say 2 plus 3, oh wow, it gives me the output, right? And then so this, you'll say, oh wow, this is kind of a calculator. No, this is a language itself. You don't need to compile anything. It's just getting interpreted line by line. As you type something, it gets you the output for it. Correct? Sorry? You have to say Python and the file name. If the file is residing at some particular location, you have to go to the whole path. Right? Or maybe you can just do a CD and go to that particular path itself. Not really. What do you command from? Do CD log. Do Python CD log. CD log. Any stage, if something doesn't work for you, then please let me know. And we'll be going through a lot of concepts. So. Just do a dir, dir, dir. Let's check what else we see now. No, I need to look at the user folder. Yeah, CD. Just a tab, maybe after you. Yeah. Now test. How do you manage controls for small letters? SS. Right? So basically you can angle just fix it why idle is not working for you later on. Right? What did you use? Now, just please look at what I'm gonna tell you and then type. Right? Now, the first thing is how to declare a variable in Python. Correct? How to declare a variable in C, C++, Java? Data type variable. Data type variable. All languages work that way, right? All other languages, we don't have a data type for any variable over here. I'll just say a equals to 5 and we'll say what's the value? I'll just print it. Right? Oh wow. Okay. That's okay, cool. What next? I would say A equals to Utsav and try to print A, correct? And well, A had 5 and then you give it a new value which is a string type, correct? If you want to check what kind of value anytime a variable is holding, what you can do is you can just say print type of A, right? Cool. Okay. Again, I can give it a decimal value. Let's check the new type. Oh, cool. This is very cool, right? No data types involved. Why do you need a data type? Why do you need a data type? Was it a hassle, right? Maintaining a data type. A cannot be given to a string. That's what C and C++ will tell you, or Java will tell you. But here everything works. Can you quickly try this out? Then we just move.
And this, if you try to add two different data types here in Python,
It will not work, right? I mean, obviously. If you try to add a string to a string, then it will work because that will do pluses operator overlaid over here. It will just concatenate the two strings. If you try to add two integers, it will work. If you try to add an integer and a float, it will work. Right?
so how do we know what will be the end data type?
Sorry,
If you add an integer and float,
it will be a float.
okay, those rules are still valid.
Yeah, yeah.
Why am I getting this thing? Type str should be your class float.
Type, maybe you're using 2.7, right? So they
Yeah.
have just changed the syntax a little bit. Doesn't matter,
Okay.
right?
Okay.
So there is no data type associated with a variable. It is decided at the runtime. You'll say, yeah, I mean, there's a data type associated, but I'm not going to give it in my code. It will be decided at the runtime what kind of value you are assigning to a variable. Right? Now how this is working, what do you think? Let's check how all of this is working. Let's say, so on the interactive shell, right, I can also write my code over there. I don't have to compile. Let's say I have a equals to 5. Cool. Okay. To check the memory address of any variable, I have to say id of a. Right? Okay, just giving me some value. Correct? Okay. Let's say I change the value. I say a equals to 8. Right? Can you see here for a while? A equals to 8. What do you think? What has happened? Let me check the memory address of A now. Right? It has changed. Right? Now what do you infer from this? It's very important. What do you infer? What do you observe?
Every new allocation is dynamically different from there.
Yeah, it's given a separate memory. You're not overwriting. It's not the same concept of C++ where you'll try to accommodate the same thing. That's why C++ says that you earlier gave me an integer to A. Now I have maybe 4 bytes. If you give me a big string, I cannot allocate because it will try to accommodate that big string in the same 4 byte, which is not possible. Correct? But over here, when you give A equals to Utsav and check the ID of A, it is again changed, right? So you always allocate a new memory and your A will be pointed to the new memory location. Do you think this is better way or not?
So what it is better way?
Okay. Okay. So in what way it is better?
So we don't want to strictly follow that paradigms.
Okay.
This is not number one.
Well, it's much more faster. Your C compiler will try, or maybe garbage collector will try to delete that space and write over there, which is much more tedious work. It involves two operations, a deletion and writing. Python interpreter is just writing at a new place and redirecting, right? So one operation is saved, 50% savings, much more faster. Now you will say, it has wasted a lot of memory. C is much more optimized. What happens here? Let's say, now A is a new variable, right? You don't have that 5 anywhere, but it is saved somewhere. Let's see here. If I give B equals to 5 and check the ID of B, what do you see here?
Same as
That means Python interpreter is maintaining a pool of variables, pool of integers. Let's say someone requested for saving a variable called 5, an integer called 5. Now he doesn't need that, but maybe again he wants to use that 5. Why to allocate a new memory location? Why to waste memory? I'll reassign it. It's optimized, much more faster, right? Now this concept works across. When I talk about across, it works with IS as well. I'll tell you how, right? So now, this thing is clear to you, for sure, correct? Would you like to try this out, quickly?
how did it happen? Can you explain the diagram? Like, can you explain the diagram?
Okay. Do I have a pen?
The pen is there.
This one? Okay. So let's say I have saved 5, right? My A is pointing to 5 right now in the memory. When I said utsav, right? And I want to say A should take the value utsav, I have saved utsav at a new location because it needs much more memory, right? Or maybe it could have been a bigger string as well, a text data, right? So I'll cut this linkage. I'll say A should point to my utsav, correct? Now, one more thing. If you give any C which is coming up and you give it to utsav, your C will also point to utsav. Any new D which wants to take the value utsav, it will point to utsav. Now this 5, right, it has not been cleared so far. It is still available. It will be cleared by the garbage collector which keeps on running after some time. Now A is not pointing to it. No one is pointing to it, but Python interpreter knows there's a variable called 5. If there is a variable coming B which wants to take the value 5, you will just assign it to 5, correct? Now any other variable which again wants to take E, let's say, wants to take 5, it will again point to this location, correct? We can validate this, right?
So what if like suppose I allocated A to 5, okay, and then I change the value to A to itself, and then again B
Yes.
to, if I'm not using that value as 5, till what time that value holds in that pool?
It will be held if its scope has not gone, right? So right now
The
it's a,
scope
right,
of the program.
yeah, till the scope of the program, right?
Then where
So
is this
one more thing, yeah, one more thing, I'll tell you one more thing. Let's say if I had B equals to 5, correct? What's the ID of B? Cool. I'll give C equals to 5. Let's check the ID of C. Same. D equals to 5. So it's a linkage, right? All of them are going to have the same linkage, they will not waste any memory. But what happens? Let's say if you change or if you say B equals to B plus 1, right? What's the value of B? 6. What's the value of C? Right? Now it knows that. What's the value of D? It knows that. Now how intelligent you will say to the Python compiler? It knows that you have made some changes in B. I need to rewrite this, right? Rewrite this to a new memory location to 6 where only B should be pointing. Why should I change my C and D? Right? Now if you want to check the ID of B, just see it has changed. It has gone to 56. Earlier it was 40. If you check for C and D, it is again the same. Lot of optimizations which we
The
will
same way it will work for strings and float values.
it will work for that as well. The same way.
Can you see the float value?
Let's say I have A equals to 5.5, B equals to 5.5. Let's check the value of A, value of B. Okay.
Within the
Can
float
you,
it won't work.
maybe can you check on this? Maybe it was working different time. Why? Because there's a lot of changes which has come from 2.x series of Python now 2.x series. It gets different only, right? Okay. So it's getting different. Maybe
Yeah,
because of
it's different because the float value is representation is
Yeah.
much different.
Right.
Combinative will go.
yeah, and
If you
also that
say
preciseness has to be
5.5,
maintained, right?
5.5 according to the
It is
after digit.
4999.
4999.
Exactly. So that would be difficult for
Yeah.
the Python interpreter to maintain. Okay. Now let's come to arrays in Python, right? So arrays in Python are called lists. What they're called? Lists. Right? Now tell me, how do you define an array in C, C++, Java?
Data type, variable name, then square bracket
And
and size.
size also you have to give, right? Pretty much limited. It tells you, see, I need the data type, I need the size, I otherwise I won't even make a small array for you. Works the same way in C, C++, Java. Let's see here. I can name it anything. So no data type first of all. I'll give it empty. ARR equals to empty square brackets. If I try to print ARR, my array, let's check. It will print a empty list. Now let's assign some values, right? You see here 1, comma 2, comma 3. Okay. You have the values 1, 2, 3. Now what is the basic fundamental principle of an array? That what's the principle of an array? That it should hold
Yeah, continuous number.
continually and it should have
Same data type.
homogeneous values, right? Okay, let's check. 6.5. Okay, observe, and you just run your module. Correct? Now, how much difference do you find? There's no data types, first of all. You are not bounded by the size, right? If you want to add anything, you can again add. You can say append Python, right? So, what are differences do you find? No data types. It can hold any type of values, which is very good, awesome. You can add values at runtime, correct? We're adding values at runtime, right? We never told it that, see, I need to have 5 values, just allocate memory for 5. All those mandatory rules have gone, which were imposed by C++ or Java. Correct? Cool? Do you find this good? No? You will find it. No problems. The people who learn Python, right? So there's a disadvantage.
We use the pixel without the divided points.
Without
Divided points.
Utsav. Then it has to be a variable, right? I'm just adding a string. You can give it single quotes as well. Absolutely.
But code should be mandatory.
Yeah, because otherwise it will become a variable and you have to define it. It should hold a value, maybe, right? Maybe you can say Utsav means brilliant. And now if you say Utsav is a variable over here. You can write it. No problems. Right? It should hold a value, right? If you just directly say Utsav is not holding anything, it's not a string, it's a variable and it's not holding anything, what should I print, right? You never gave it a value.
The default value is 0.
No, there's no default value. No default value, right?
So what will it print if you
It will give you an error. Utsav is not defined, right? This is one disadvantage in learning Python. That is, when you learn it, you won't be able to code in other languages because you will like it so much. Right? Okay. So you see here, what else? I want to have a nested array. I want to have a nested array. No problems. Let's give you a nested array. 4, 5, 6. Now, what you see here, your array has values as integers, right? Floats, strings, and array itself. Oh wow, cool. Now, you would like to access the individual elements, correct? Correct? Okay. Let's say I want to access, so the indexing starts from 0 only, right?
Yes.
0, this is at 1, this whole list is at 2, this is at 3, and this is at 4. Now tell me, if I want to print 2, what will I say? Yeah, rough one, pretty much simple. Okay, if I want to print Utsav, I'll say 4. Pretty much correct, right? I want to print this whole list. Okay. I want to print this 5.
We do that as well. Do 1.
2 of 1, right? Again, within this also 4 it at 0, 5 is at 1, 6 is at 2. Right? I want to print this S. What will I say?
4 of 2.
4 of 2, this S of itself. Right? Okay. Now this is, what's the big deal? What's the big deal? C++, Java works this way in printing the things. Now you will come to know the differences. Let's say I want to print 2 until 6.5. What will you do? In C++, Java, whenever I ask you a question, maybe you can just tell me perspective.
Loop we want to use.
You want to use a loop. Doing a simple printing, you need a loop in C++ Java. Okay. Let's see how does Python. You can do this. You want to start from 2, right? Say 1, colon. You want to go until 6.5. What is the index? Always give 1 extra. So I'll give 4. Okay. This will print my values from index 1 to 3. Let's see. Right. If I want to print Utsav also, I can just skip this, maybe just go until the end. Can you see here? Right? There's no looping required, right? Let me make it this little easier to see. Okay? Right? This is a little easier to visualize. Correct? Because the values and the indexes are same. Now, I want to print 1 to 4. I'll say 1 to 5. Correct? Okay. Now, tell me, I want to print all the even numbers. I want to print all the even numbers. I'll start from 0, 0th index. I'll go to end. So I mean, when something you don't require, right, you can just skip it. I mean, 0 is by default over there, right? So, and the third variable is the increment. You can just give it 2. What does this tell you? Start from 0, go until the end because I am not given the end index. Take a increment or jump of 2. So from 0 it will go to 2, it will go to 4, it will go to 6, it will go to 8. Let's try this out. Right? You want to print all the odd numbers. Where are your odd numbers starting from 1? So this time I'll just give the first. Right? Just see here. This time I'll give the first. So start from the first index. Go until the end. Take an increment of 2. Right? Maybe you want to print the table of 3 or maybe at the increment of 3. So I'll start from 0. Right? Now, do you find this different from C, C++, Java? Still not worthy, right? Still not worthy? Okay. Now, I have an array of colors. Right? The indexes are 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Right? Now many times what happens, okay, let's do one more thing. Let's say you want to print blue. What will you say?
Sorry?
You want to print blue.
You.
Blue,
What?
blue.
What?
Blue, blue.
Blue. What?
1, right? Okay. Now, what happens in C, C++, Java, if by mistake you give something as -4, some negative indexes, what will happen? Error. For sure, all of these languages support errors, right? Very true. Can you check this? What does it give you? Is it visible at the end? Is it visible at the end? Do you try?
Yeah.
What does it give you?
Blue.
Blue.
Same. What?
Right. Why? Because in Python there is a negative indexing also. So this white is at -1. This is at -2. minus 3 and minus 4, and this is at minus 5. So let's say you want to print or access pink. I can say either 3 or minus 2, right? Correct? Maybe I want to access this n. What will I say? Minus 2. Now within this, I can say 2 starting from the positive indexing, because p within this string, p is at 0, I is at 1, n is at 2. Or else I can also start from the negative. K is at minus 1, n is at minus 2. I'll say, either I'll say here of minus 2, 2, or I'll say minus 2, minus 2. Why? Why Python is providing you all these features? You can iterate from negative also. It's much more easier, much more faster as well. Just think, if it's a big list, big array list, you might be searching till the end and then finding your value, or else you can start from the right hand side and you will find your values pretty quickly. It will save you from getting errors as well. Sometimes by mistake if you give minus. Now what else? What else? We will do this a little deeper when we run arrays, right? But now tell me, you want to print these values. Okay, let's do a small question before uh, doing the next thing. How do you enter subblocks in Python? Entering subblocks. What do you mean by subblocks? When do you need to enter a subblock? Maybe when you write if-else cases, you have to write, if your if condition is validly true, you will write something inside, correct? Let's say I have three variables which I need to compare, a comma b comma c, and their values are 3 comma 1 comma 5. So a gets 3, b gets 1, c gets 5, right? So this is the way you can declare multiple values to multiple variables, correct? Now I want to find out the maximum of max of a comma c. I will say if a greater than b and what will I say? What will I say? A greater than b and?
Right.
Yeah, but I also have to say a greater than c.
Yes.
So what will I say?
And
And how do you write and?
double.
Double ampersand. C, C++, Java, all of them, right? Does ampersand hold any value before you learn C, C++, Java?
Address.
Hmm? No, address also you came to know when you learned C.
Okay.
When maybe you were in 12th or 10th, ampersand, it held any value for you?
Yes. Digit.
Ampersand, is it?
Ampersand.
This, right? This thing. This you only came to know when you learned C, C++, Java, that it could be used for writing AND conditions. But Python is, I told you right, the motivation to make it very readable. It uses English constructs. I'll say A greater than B and A greater than C. As simple as that. Correct? Now, the next difference is, also one more thing, whenever you are entering any subblocks, don't mix spaces with tabs. Don't mix spaces with tabs, it will land you in big problems. Although you can say that one tab is equal to 4 spaces or 8 spaces, right? When we write our codes, but don't mix spaces with tabs. If you're using tabs, always use tabs in your programs. If you're using spaces, always use spaces. Python might not be able to understand, or some of the IDs might not be understanding of 4 space as 1 tab, right? Always use tabs, that's the better way. So how do you enter a subblock? In other language, you open up a curly brace, correct? But in Python, we don't have any curly braces. To enter the subblock, I'll give equal number of indentations. So I have given 4 spaces, right? I'll say is, and I'm also gonna say that is, right? This is the way I will say. Now what else? I have to compare again. Elif, d greater than c, and d greater than, sorry. Again,
Is it else if or else?
Elif.
It's not else if.
Sorry?
There's no else if.
There's no else if. Else, what you'll say, now what do you observe here? No curly braces. It's not with me or you, it's with every programmer. When you write your logics in other languages, maybe JavaScript, C++, when you write your logics, many a times it becomes a problem that where are your curly braces are starting and where they are ending. Is it true or not? It happens a lot in JavaScript, C++, Java, everywhere in Java like, right? You have no readability. I mean, after a week, maybe you will, on your own, you will find difficulty in reading your code. But that doesn't happen with Python. Even any other person or developer can read your code and tell. Now, what is following? One thing is to enter a subblock, no curly braces. Second is take indentation. But within a block, the indentation has to be equal. Can you see here? If you see here, if I make even a single space over here, you see here, if I make a space over here, right, and try to run this, it will not run in the whole universe. It will never run, right? So within a block, the indentation has to be equivalent. It's the same way we were told to write our things in our copies when we were in schools, right? To make it neat. And this is the way Python indents instead of using curly braces. And this is much more better way of doing it. Right?
Also, there's an error which means what?
Else colon colon.
Oh, you mean colon?
Yeah.
Why colon in the end?
Sorry?
Why colon?
Colon is this that I'm gonna enter a subblock after if else.
So one more thing, we do not have a string concatenation in Python.
Yeah, we
Like
have.
b is y comma, we cannot get plus.
You can say plus, but b is an integer, right? So you have to just cast it to str. You can just str of b.
Okay.
Yeah.
Not
Right.
automatically take it.
Right.
Yes.
So if you make any,
Is Python case sensitive?
yes, it is. Now, if you within a block, if you give equal number of strings, so you see in the first block I have given 4 spaces, 1 tab. In the second block I have given 2 tabs. Correct? This will work, no doubt. But within a block, if you make even a single space extra, it will never run. See here, it will never run. Right? But if within within different blocks, if you have different indentation, that will have no problems, right? But see here, this becomes much more readable, right? You have tried this out? Shall I remove? What will you do?
We take some compilation.
What is the error?
Identification, I would say.
Identification error.
Can you see his code? So HTML,
क्या?
to HTML, can you see his code?
HDMI, how can we see this code? It is not connected. Okay. Can you connect this?
Mistakes.
Hmm?
Mistakes.
It will come up. Yeah. There's no indentation you have followed. See, I'm saying when you have written the script condition, right? After that, you are going to enter the subplot. By entering a subplot, you are just writing from the outer block. To enter a subplot, you have to give equal number of spaces. That you have not given. So if you give it equal number of spaces, here as well, here as well, this will start. Right? Yeah. Give one tab.
For each and everything I should go.
Yeah. Within a block, I mean, your elif is also starting from the outer block, and the inner block is also going to start from that is not going to work, right? Now, let's run it. Probably it will run. Can you give it back to me?
Sure.
Thank you. Let me know if there's a problem. Now, if you want to write anything after your if else condition, you will write it where? You will write it from the outer block. Maybe you want to say I'm done. You will say end. Right? You have to come back to the outer indentation. See, if you write inside this else, this end will be only printed if you come inside this block. Right? If you want to make sure this is going to work, you have to write it again from the outer block. Right? Maybe P was 0. Right? Will it run? Does it run? Any more problems? No?
No.
Sure?
No, working. It's okay.
Okay, cool. Okay.
How did you put it?
Hmm?
How do they?
Okay, you want to compare something? I'll tell you. Look at the shell. I have A equals to 5, B equals to 5. I'll say if A equal to B. Right? Or else you have one more way. You can say if A is B. What is it? That is what I was asking you, right? If A is B. Right? This is how you should be writing in your algorithms. Remember when we were told to do our projects, I mean when we were given some programs to write, we were told to always write algorithm first and then write the code. But maybe none of us followed that way. But if we write our algorithms these days and we are gonna program in Python, it's much more easier, right? Because your algorithm language is much more similar to your Python language. Because we used to tell you that write your algorithms in English constructs. Don't write those logical things. Just say if A is B. Don't write that. I don't want to compare. Right? This is how we used to say.
Is there any
Now,
difference?
huh?
W equal to an is
No, it works the same way.
for example.
Yeah. Now, see here. If you want to check if there's okay, let's go back to our main file so that you can code, right? I'll remove all of this.
How do you multiple line comments?
Sorry.
How do you mean multiple line comments?
Multiple lines comment, right? I mean, I'll tell you. Let's say now you wanted to write below this, but you don't want to above one to execute, right? What you can use is, you can say single triple quotes and end it single triple quotes. So this way, your whole of the string won't be validated. It has come inside multiple line commenting. Although triple quotes are not used for multi-line comments, this is used for your dot string. I'll tell you when we learn functions and classes, what is a docstring, your documentation. So whenever you write a function at the top, you should be writing your documentation string that what this function is doing, and the way to write it is using this single quotes or double quotes. Right? We are just exploiting it for multi-line comments. Cool. So I can write my code from below as well. Okay. Now, let's say you have some text. Uh, Python, you want to check, right? And you have some text. Mm, Python is a very powerful language. Python is the future. Now, how do you check that a word is occurring in a text? How can I check if this Python is occurring in this text string in C, C++, Java?
Java, you have dot contains.
Okay, and substring method, C++ has substring method, right? C also has some things, correct? Those substring methods, sometimes you don't know which value to pass first and which value to pass second, right? There's a syntax, right? You have to say that whether to pass the text first or the search value first, right? The person who is looking at your code might never be able to judge it directly. He needs to know if you are given good variable names, then he might be able to judge it pretty easily. Now how do you search that in Python? Let's see here. I'll say if a in text print present else not present, right? And it gives you it is present. Now how did you write this? If a in text, now tell me which is more readable, your substring or dot contains or those things or this in. This is what you wanted to check, right? If Python is in, how will I say in English? If Python A, if this particular keyword is in this text, then let me know, right? That is what Python is doing for you, correct? Now this works across. It's not just like that. When I say across, so I mean you can also give any string over here. Maybe you can say uh, powerful, right? Directly also you can give anything. But this works across. Let's say I have an array which has some values, 1 comma, right? And I have Zenrays. I want to check if Zenrays is occurring in this array or not. The same way I can write it. Within an array also this in works, correct? You have, if you want to check the negation, then you can say not in, okay? There's also something called not in. Much more easier. We have not even imported anything so far, like your C, C++, Java, right? You have modules, string module, other modules. We're not importing anything. Does it work for you? Is it working for you? Sure, you have done it?
First one. Okay. If I say if z in array, it won't print present, right?
It won't print, does it?
Okay.
But in
Word by word we have to give.
yeah, I mean over here you're searching for the exact keyword, the value, right? This Zenrays is a value over here.
So how I search Zen is present on.
If you want to search Zen, then what you can do, you can iterate over this, right? You can take every value and check. So I'll tell you maybe in a while once we do follow, right? I'll tell you. But over here, this text thing will work, right? Power will be searched.
It's not a grep kind of thing.
Shell programming is very powerful, but it has a lot of limitations. It's not that easy for everyone to learn as well. Yeah. Some of the commands are all we know. Like, yeah. Cool. Shall we move? Okay.
Just going here,
Sure.
just want to make your word in text. Text is defined as this.
Right.
That person. Did I get it?
Are you okay? Because after if, right, you have not put a colon and if else. In this if, at the end you have not put a colon. And after else also, inside else. Right? If you put a colon, it will show you. Okay. Let's go through some of the other things in Python, right? So as you see here, second, these are the keywords in Python. Your Boolean operators, false, true, right? Finally is used for exception handlings like global, not in. So you should not be taking them as your variable name, correct? Okay. How do you name your variables in Python? Generally, mm, the convention is that you name your variables in this way with underscores, separated by underscores. You can also use camel case, right? You know camel case? You don't know? Okay. So maybe if I have to name something, maybe I'll say product name, right? So one way is you name it as product name, else you'll say product name. So you start with the small letter, but any next word will start with the capital letter. This is how JavaScript mainly takes the letters. But in Python, this way is more prevalent using the underscore way, right? Even your functions are named like this. Product under, maybe get value. So you'll say get underscore value. This is how you will find your functions name.
And any length for the variable length?
Variable name.
Basically, its camels have hump, right? That's the reason, P is small and is capital.
No, but I'm telling you,
Yeah, no.
there is a rule, some many times before.
C, I think it's 255, right?
32.
32 letters. Yeah, 32 letters. Correct.
Only constraint issue will readable.
Right? Now it could be a combination of any letters in lowercase or uppercase, right? Any identifier, your variables, cannot start with a digit. It should not start with a digit, right? I think C allows that.
No.
No? Even C doesn't allow. Okay. But you can put digits afterwards. Just the case that it should not start with it. Like global is a keyword, so you cannot take it as a variable, right? And you cannot use special symbols like @ hash, dollars for any of variable names, right? It's a case sensitive language. Multiple words are separated by using underscore. Like this is a long variable. Or you can also use camel case. Now you would have seen, we'll just quickly go through this, right? You would have seen we are using single quotes and double quotes both for defining a string. Correct? It works the either way, you can use anything. But what happens, let's say you want to print hello, I don't have this. Like within don't, you have a single code, right? So one way is you can just escape this, right? Or other ways you can the whole this like hello, I don't like Python. So the inner single code I have escaped. This is how every language works. Else what I can say is I'll just put it in double quotes. In this way, I don't need to escape this single quote, right? Because I'm surrounding my string with double quotes, right? So this is the way, I mean, why you should be using double quotes or single. Why we have two ways of defining a string, correct?
Wherever you use either of them, I mean, three of these
No, you can use anything.
interchangeable.
Yeah, always interchangeable.
So what I just said, line number 63, the moment starts with that single quotes, okay?
Yeah.
The moment it finds that, if you remove that escape sequence, you can just delete
Yeah,
escape.
sure. It will give you error.
It will end the string there.
It will end, and then the next part is saying that I don't have a starting, right? This T I like Python, it doesn't have a starting code. That's why we need to escape it. Or else the escaping looks a little weird sometimes, so you can surround it with double quotes. As simple as that. No, no problems, right? You can also define your multiple lines sometimes, right? By surrounding them with triple quotes, triple double quotes, or triple single quotes. This is basically used for your document and string.
Are these comments?
Comment 10.
Basically these are used for comments, but you can also use it as a string.
If you want to see the type of it, then
You just print
It
this.
doesn't print in output, right?
No, it will print C. And if you say what is C, it will be taken out. Right?
So double quotes, so we can use comment.
Yeah. But it has to be triple quotes, triple double quotes, or triple single quotes. Then only it will be taken as multi-line comments. Else you can use hash. Hash is basically used for your defining your comments. Right? No problem so far? Any problem so far? Sure. Keep asking me your questions. Because we'll be moving a little fast sometimes because it's more about skill building. Right? Now, okay, we'll come to this. Okay, we'll come to this function later on. Right? Okay. Now, what happens? You know complex numbers? What are complex numbers? Yeah, which comes with iota, right? A I or a J or a K, which are used for plotting graphs on your graphs. I mean, plotting points on your graphs or plotting a vector or a line on a graph, right? How do you define the endpoints? You'll say my x is maybe 2 plus 3j, right? My y is 4 minus 1j, right? And you want to add them up. So z is gonna be x plus y. And when we print z, now adding complex numbers or multiplying them, how do you do this in C, C++, Java? You have to write functions, maybe a class, which will overload, right? Will this plus work? You have to overload it. Operator overloading. Else, what you will do, you will iterate. You will add the imaginary part and the real part of x and y. Right? All this thing you have to do. Will be around 30 lines of code easily. No doubt. You can, if you try, you can write, right? Let's see here, how does this work? Oh wow. It's doing everything for you. And you have not even imported anything so far. Am I correct? Right? Let's say, let's multiply them. Right? your value of j is under root of -1. You can try doing it manually as well if you want, correct? But you have not imported anything so far, correct? So a lot of things are being done for you. There's a support for, so you see here, these kind of things, if you can do in just one line, all the numerical calculations and scientific calculations which people do, right? Your ISRO is firing missiles and firing artificial satellites every week now, right? They have to do a lot of calculations, they have to calculate a lot of distances. The NASA is working on that, right? What do you think? They'll be using C++ for that? It will throw you so many errors, right? It will be, the project will go into so much of, I don't know, what timelines.
So what if you use only J instead of one J?
If I use only
J, it means right? Only
okay, you don't want the real part, right?
No, not that one. They said one J is there, right?
Yeah. Okay.
Remove it, one J.
Yeah, it should work. Okay, I think it's not. Maybe you have to give one. Have to give. Because what will happen, right? It will not come to know if that this is a complex number. It will think that j is a variable, right? Okay. Shall we move?
So how does this work?
So, they know that when you say something, when you add a variable, a number with j, right, it will be taken as iota, as your imaginary part. So they are automatically taking this x as a complex number. If you want to check, always say what? Print? I told you. How to know what is the type of x? Type of x, right? Let's check that. You see, it's a complex. It will automatically detect that it's a complex.
Are these things like data types, like you can say internal data types in Python?
Yeah, everything is an object in Python. Right, so they have already been overloaded. These star, right? How is that star working for complex number? You never know, right? It did for you 50 lines of code already in just one line, but all of these have been overloaded. And Python is actually integrating them as an object, a complex object, and then it knows what to do. If you do a plus, minus, star, all of these operations it can do.
And also, how do you initialize a variable in Python?
How do you initialize a variable?
Simple, with no value. Can I have a variable without
You can say a equals to none.
do like that? You cannot write a, that's all.
A, that's what, this will become very unreadable, like A, right? If you say just A, it'll say, I don't know what is A. On the interactive shell, if you go, right, just go here, and if you say G, it says G is nothing. You know why it is not able to tell you? Because it's an interpret language, first thing. It has to execute. It has to execute that particular line. It's not reading a whole code. Correct? Now that G has to be evaluated. You don't have anything as G. So that will say,
It's not as a keyword.
yeah, so what you can say, G equals to none. So if you try to just prompt Python shell for G, it will say I don't have. See, G is nothing, it's not giving anything. But if you specifically want to print, you can just say print of G and it will show you that it's a none. Right?
Something called as null, undefined, some kind
No,
of.
it's none.
It's none, everything is none.
Everything is none. No null, no undefined. It's a none. None means nothing. Right? Okay. And for Boolean values, you say A equals to true or false. Right? If you have to assign something, or if whenever you do if else, they will be evaluating to a Boolean value. Correct? When I say A equals to B, see, if I say on my interactive shell I'm typing, see here, if I'll say X is equals to 4 and Y is equals to 4 and my Z is X is Y. What will my Z say? True. These are the basics. If you have any problems, please ask, because once we go into the next concept, maybe this we won't be able to cover again. Right? This clear? Shall we move? Okay. So how do you assign a single value to multiple variables? You can say x equal to y equal to z equal to 10. So 10 will be assigned to z, z will be assigned to y, and y will be assigned to x. All the three variables will have the same value. Maybe if you want to assign multiple values to multiple variables, then you can go this way: a comma b comma c, and then your values separated by commas. Correct? You can give digits, again your strings or arrays, right? It works the same way always. So a will take the first value, b will take the second, and c will take the third value. Correct? True? Okay. Now we didn't talk about how to take input from the user. We just kept on doing the things. Now, how do you take input from in C, C++, Java? C you have scanf, right? What about Java? Java has a big syntax for taking your input. Right? You initialize your input stream reader, then you give it to the buffer reader, then you read everything with the buffer reader. Right? I mean, I don't remember that much. Right? How do you take input in Python? Let's say I want to take name. I'll say input backside. This will prompt the user for inputting the name. Maybe if you want to give a message to him, you can say enter the name. Right? This is the way you do. Correct? This will prompt the user for entering his name. If you can say age, input the age, enter the age. Now what happens so there are some differences in 2.x series of Python and 3.x series. So one other I'll keep telling you the differences. One difference is when you take the input in 2.x, right? You have to take string as an input. You use something called raw input. Raw input for strings and input for your integers or floats. It will detect what kind of value it is. Right? Cool. So you are using 2.x, right? It should work this way. Now, in 3.x series, we are using 3.5, correct? You have only input, and this always takes a string. Always takes a string. String always. But what do you mean by you cannot enter a digit? Yeah, you can enter a digit as well using the input only. But the thing is you have to cast it. So what, like my age, I will need to cast it and say that the user is entering an integer value. I'll just cast it to an integer. Correct? Any doubts?
Yeah, no, give me one thing. See, I'm using 2.7, so name input enter the name. It's accepting a string value, right? Age input enter the age, so it's accepting 10. So why it's not doing an error? Because it just accepts the numbers as it is, like what you told input. If I give 10 or 20 or 40, it will just simply accept it.
Yeah, just start printing it. The printing as well.
Then I did it, okay, and I gave 20. I have to just write a message, right?
It is taking actually your input also takes the string, but the main method is draw string for taking your strings, right?
Yeah.
Hmm? Cool. Now, if I want to print it, what I'll say, name, and you try taking the name quickly. You just move. You know how to take the input. So very simple, simplistic way. Input. That's it. No other way.
So since it's an interpreted language, typecasting is not handled at the runtime, or do we need to uh, typecasting, either explicit or implicit?
It will be handled at runtime only, right? But you need to say, I mean, see, even if you say, I don't want as int, right? This will work perfectly. But the age will be as string. So later on also you can typecast it. Maybe you want to just add one to
Basically, the
it.
input function always, whatever
Takes
the input you
as
take,
string.
it takes the
As
type
a
as a
string.
string.
Yeah. You can do it this way. Later on if you want to, you can print age, no problem, but maybe you want to increment by one, you want to add one. It will say no, age is a string. First just convert it, right? So if you try to do something, age is equals to age plus 1, this will error out. So in that case, what you have to do is
No, I know it will not be a string plus a number. Like,
string. So if this 1 is an integer, you cannot add a
but in
string.
the hierarchy, it comes, string comes off, top, then integer.
There's no hierarchy here.
No, data type hierarchy is always there.
Over here, there's no hierarchy, right?
Then how do you know? How do you think
So what do you mean by a hierarchy over here when you talk about precedence, right? When you talk about adding things, over there, why you have that hierarchy is, you say when I add an integer and a float, it should go to a float, correct? But what happens over there in C++, it will override always. It will override. That's why you say that I cannot accommodate an integer plus a float in an integer. That's why it will be always a float. There is no overwriting over here. It will always write it at a new location. That's why we don't talk about that particular thing, right?
And if I
It will be always written at a new location. Always remember this. You're not going to overwrite, and you are also not. You won't be ever able to. The way you manipulate your memory addresses, right? In C++, you will never be able to do that.
But how this is working, see, if I give A is equal to 2, which is a boolean,
Yeah.
and B is equal to 20,
Okay.
if I try to add A plus B, it gives me 21.
Can try this out. So A will be evaluated as a true over here, right? And true is taken as 1. If you try to do
Yeah,
the
that's
same thing,
that's
yeah,
what I
yeah, that will happen. But that is because true is a special case, right? It's a special operator. If you see, I just told you over here, it's a separate kind of a Boolean
I get
operator.
21.
Yeah, this will work. But if you try to add, maybe
But that's what they can, runtime they are changing the type of it.
now true is always taken as 1. You know, right? In other languages
If
also.
I do A plus B,
Right.
okay, and I check type of C, it will give me number.
Type that.
Integer, which means number 6.
Yeah, it's because
Which is here
this boolean is taken as 1 as well. But if you try this same thing with a string, it will not work. F5. So since your bool is also taken as 1 and 0, right? That is what do you call as bool, true and false, as 1 and 0 only. That will be taken out.
if I need to enter that multi-line as a string, what it is?
If you want to enter multi-line,
Yeah.
you can keep entering.
No, if I use before enter a line, okay, multi-line. If I use enter, it will come out, right?
Okay, let's try this. Now I'm prompting the user for entering something.
Okay.
Correct?
Yes. It came out, right?
Okay. So
I mean,
yeah,
students, the
that if you want to do,
What exactly you told? Can you come again?
he wants to
no,
enter
actually
multiple lines.
multi-line input. Okay. If you want any sentence kind of things, any story you want to store in any variable.
That will not be possible because the input is a function and it will only accept input in one.
Does it happen
No,
in
it's not
other
right.
languages?
Actually, there is some in Perl I use something like the
Redirection.
standard in some way it is not
Okay.
sure in Perl. Yeah.
Mm,
Multi-line input.
let me check this.
Yeah.
Right. Sure.
No, if you want to read any file out to the things, with line by line it will be right. Here,
It can read the whole of it as
yeah,
also.
that-
You can also read line by line. Right, it can read. Right.
Showing runtime error.
Sorry,
Showing runtime error.
what is that error? Can you tell me?
It's just saying it's a runtime error, some memory line, then you have to signal.
Can you show me? Print name looks good. You can keep it. Uh, have you given the input?
No,
Yeah.
after the compile it's going, it's showing the time.
No, so when you run it, right, there is an option over here for giving the inputs. Is there? Yeah.
Enter the name.
Right? No, no. That way this won't work, right? Give me a second. Input. Middle and
String.
see. You have to give the both the inputs. It will not prompt you like one by one over here. Right? This is something which you are saying I'll have this code and take the input cases also and just run it. Over here it will not behave as an interactive shell. Right? You see here, so I've given both the inputs. Right?
And which variable it will store the line ending, then we can do.
Which one? Line ending.
Yeah. Actually, in Perl, there is some variable like dollar bracket. The default value is slash n. Okay. That's why if you enter, if it is come slash n, it will come out from the function. If you change it is something like exit, then when you type exit, then only it will come out. If you enter, it will.
So I mean that is an inbuilt thing?
Yeah, it's inbuilt.
Inbuilt thing. Okay, I doubt something like that is available in Python. Maybe that you can implement over here. You can just keep asking the user for input and you can keep appending it to the existing variable. Right? And when he enters maybe a dollar or a hash, you can just exit. Kind of thing could be done here. But there's nothing inbuilt over here like that. It takes that kind of input.
Inbuilt variable is not there.
No, there's no inbuilt keyword or function over there which does that. Okay. We'll just stop here for today. We meet in the next class and cover more.
Tomorrow is
And just tell you this. Tomorrow we have a session also, right?
Shall we tell afterward?
What time should I call? 3 o'clock? Guys, how about tomorrow 3 o'clock? 3 o'clock is fine for everyone? Yeah, we'll keep it 3 o'clock. Is it fine? 11 o'clock starts there. Okay.
ठीक है चलो तो the class will happen over here.
Yes.
Or
Yeah.
that will happen over here.
And we will have a class here only. Okay.
We have a learning session also, a learning
Learning
development center as well, right?